Greetings, sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. This is Body Culinary, and today is market day. I love the market, garden day, market day. But before we went to the market, just to share with you, um, our soursop trees that we planted from seeds just like this, from what we've eaten, are bearing fruit. And so my sister and I, we found a soursop about this big on our tree. Like, to us, it's like a little miracle. And it was just yesterday that we saw a soursop, and it was about $30 for the one soursop. And to think, we had a soursop about that same size for $30 off of a tree that we planted. So these are little miracles. This is why I encourage folks, please grow something, nurture something. It's going to give you back so much more than you could have ever imagined. And so, yeah, just getting in from the market. I went twice. I just love the market. It's like a whole social event. So, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Body Culinary professional chef, personal trainer, mother, natural born woman, lover of a natural lifestyle, or as close as I can get to it in these times that we're living in. And on this channel, I share some of my journey of radical self-acceptance. And what that looks like for me is celebrating and being creative with the divinely assigned features that were given to me as I popped out onto this earth plane. And so my hair is very fine, kinky, cottony, and all that jazz. So I'm being creative with it. I've had pretty much most natural health hairstyles. And this is where we're at now. I don't know if you can see. Maybe I will turn on a little bit of the light right here because the sun is getting ready to go down. So we don't have all of that fancy schmancy stuff. But I will turn on a little bit of a light. I'll turn on a little bit of a light because the sun is going down. So, yeah, that's what it's looking like today. There's no twisting, no oil, no none of that. Because I got a lot going on. So I'm still finishing off a piece of the soursop. And we've got more. It's still maybe like a quarter of it left. It's a good size. This is a good size because the one we were looking at yesterday was $30, and we got one equivalent on our tree, and I've got all of these seeds. So that's what's so amazing. The one piece of fruit is giving me all these seeds. Each one is a tree. Is that not amazing? So anyway, I share my journey of radical self-acceptance, 3 lifestyle practices, leverage lifestyle practices. What do I mean by that? Practices that are independent of religions, cults, things that you have access to that will really give you something back, a lot back for the investment of your time, the very valuable currency of your time that you can't get back, the time that you spend on this internet. So those 3 lifestyle practices are peaceful consumption, basically food that loves you back, like the soursop, a personal movement practice daily, right? Get into it, reactivate it, tweak it so you can get the results that you want to be able to be nice and pain-free and be able to run, jump, and play in your body. And then we have garden therapy, so deeply therapeutic. There's some food sovereignty in there and so many surprises. So that's what I share on this channel. So if you're interested in this kind of content, you're always welcome to comment respectfully, subscribe, perhaps share the channel with someone that could benefit. So anyhow, I just came back from the market and someone's speaking to me, and that's Españoles. I understand a little. Sometimes when folks start just speaking, like my brain is struggling to translate. Actually, that's how I learn, but it's actually really challenging. Anywho, this one was asking me if my hair was real. Now, that to me is wild. Let me put this soursop down. I'll come back to it. That is wild for someone to ask me if my hair is real. That kind of blew my mind. Let me know if y'all can relate, especially as someone that has a texture of hair that doesn't lay. Your scalp will be burnt as mine was before the perm takes, if it ever takes. The color, the texture, it's very fine. I got about 31 locks. So for someone to ask me if my hair was real, I was like, wow. And I was like, they're not extensions. I have a little length now. I've been cutting it off, right? This will all eventually break because they have joined. And I think this is going on week 8. I totally forgot. There's been 1 lock or 2 locks that I've allowed to join. So this would be week 8. So no twisting, no oil. So I wanted to see how long it would take. So I could still rip this apart. You might be able to see, but it's starting to get a little harder to stick my finger through. But this is week 8. And I wanted to see how long it would take it to lock. So right now I can still pull them apart. So there's no twisting, no none of that. So when I first started, being I wasn't going to twist it, I put one of these loose. I don't have one here. I put one of these loose. I have a list. Loose cloth covered elastic. So it's covered with cloth on it. And I put it right here, not tight at all because my hair, all of them are flat. So I would get indentation, something to be mindful of if you have fine hair. So I can still rip it apart, but I would say I don't need to it off sweet. Just here. So I've just been washing it once a week right now, and it still feels really nice and soft. And that's it. Eventually, it will be flat. About flat locks. I've mentioned before on this channel, most of the videos I see concerning flat locks on what do you call it, on YouTube, most of them are how do I fix my flat locks. So I'm not trying to fix them because this is what my hair does naturally. That's what it wants to do. I find this is my freedom hair. So I'm free from products. I got plenty of teas and aloe and herbs inside the yard, which is my vision that I like to share with more women. Totally possible. And yeah, it has a lot of possibilities. So all of them are flat, like super flat. And I'm embracing it because I've decided to follow the rabbit hole and see what would happen. Right? Some are just like flat, like pancakes. Like, yeah, it's flat. It looks full because I've embraced the Afro. But now this is like flat carpet. It feels really nice though. It doesn't feel brittle. It's super soft and spongy. So that's what it's doing. I embrace it. I do a lot of, I won't call them messy buns, but messy ponytails and stuff like that. So it's got a little length now. I don't really think about it. I don't think about length checks. I'm not twisting. I just don't think about my hair like that, except when I just put it up a little bit like this, or I play around with moving the part from here to here. But for the most part, this is, I hear the term, what did it call it? Protective styling. I would call this restful styling. It is a rest, not only uh, mechanical rest, but also an emotional, psychological rest. And I think we deserve to feel comfortable in our own hair and skin. So to have the kind of hair that most people like shaking their hair, or nobody wants to braid your hair, right? Because back then they used to say it was too thick when you're growing up. But it's also fine. Nobody wanted to braid my hair. It was a lot of cousins, a lot of girls' hair to braid. So for someone to ask me if my hair is real, that's like, I almost can't wrap my mind around it because it's just fine hair. But I guess perhaps where I am right now, the texture, you see locks. And a friend pointed out to me, there's not that many women with locks where I am currently. And I didn't even think about it. You know, me and maybe 2 other friends. If anything, you may see a few men, a bit more men with locks, but definitely not a whole lot of women. And it didn't really occur to me. Now I know my dad is from Barbados. And when I went to Barbados years ago, I noticed there was so many people that had locks in Barbados. And someone had saw me first when I used to come there. My hair was like a really low peach fuzz, and I would cut designs in it. And people say, "You're real rootsy. You're real rootsy like your grandmother." So that was the first place where I really saw a whole lot of people with locks, was actually in Barbados many years ago. So they like that kinky culture. But somebody was asking, is my hair real? Isn't that something? A hair that, can we say, at one time was kind of like despised or not sought after? No one's trying to really, nobody who's really trying to get this. Who really wants that? You know, back in the days, boy, you would have been shamed. People would be like, you need to put some hair grease in there. You need to press it. Doesn't your mama do your hair? When are you going to do something with that? So there's nothing really for me to do. I can relax. I can lay on the floor. I don't have to worry about my Afro getting smashed because guess what? It's already flat. So it's not a concern. It feels so good to be comfortable in my own hair and skin and to see As I've said before, any kind of styling, matter of seconds, a minute, is things I do by mistake, because if I was to mimic most styles, they just don't look the same on my hair, because this hair doesn't behave the same as most folks' hair. And I am embracing it. I'm embracing it. Some grays are coming. I'm embracing it. My hair is delicate. I'm not going to assault it with dyes. It just doesn't make any sense. And as I'm a continual ever researcher, the amount of young women today with, like, the other day I heard somebody 56 fibroids. 56, like, all over, check the internet. So many young women with fibroids. Some are having myomectomies, but there are a lot of women, they're going to have their wombs taken. And that can actually, it can activate early onset of menopause. Our wombs are very linked to our vitality and to our health. Also, my research, I wonder what is the equivalent, if there's an equivalent of men folks, if they have an equivalent to menopause. Granted, our hormones are different. Then I was even thinking, just thinking, when folks inject their bodies to express however they want to express with these different hormones, I was wondering if they get the same issues with reproductive issues, right? Male and female. For example, men, folks, they get prostate cancer, right? And very, very high for people of color, high for men in general, but especially, I think it's over 80% of color. Uh, and then the numbers are skyrocketing with women with fibroids. So I was wondering, hmm, I wonder if they experience the same issues, right? Because it's at a young age, women are having their wombs taken or destroyed, and it's connected definitely to a lot of the stress. Now, diet, stress, lack of exercise, poor circulation to the womb area. I would definitely say, in my humble observation, that there is so much intimate, with a lack of intimacy, relations that are happening in a very volatile environment. And our subconscious and our emotions are affected by it. Basically, folks are engaging with people who may not really even like each other or care deeply for each other. And that shows up in protection, it shows up in respect, it shows up in taking your time, it shows up in being very cognizant of the responsibility and accountability that come with engaging your reproductive organs. So perhaps I'm just from another generation, but I don't see how. And we're not, we know we may push things to the back of our mind, to our subconscious, but we know when it's not a demonstration of care and concern, a demonstration in action, whether it's male or female. How could you be, how could you feel safe? How could you relax? Especially if you are informed. So anyway, I think it all is contributing to the growths, the massive amount of growth. 56 fibroids. They're tumorous, and there's certain things that we eat in our eating patterns that feed fibroids and tumors. In addition, many of them are benign, but they could become, cancerous. So I think it is really something for us to sit and to contemplate and reason in our quiet time. That's why I love the quiet, because you can really hear your own divine and onboard intelligence when it's quiet. To really reason with, what are we feeding, right? What are we feeding? What are we suppressing? Is there anything that we're pretending not to know? Is there anything that we're not addressing? And sometimes it can be helpful to journal about these things, to take them out of your subconscious and put them on paper so you can see them objectively without so much of a story. And that perhaps can give us access to the clarity and the focus to change, because it's no joke. I've been working in personal training and coaching and nutrition for decades, and I see distinct patterns. I'm an observer of patterns, and I've been very fascinated by self-sabotage, human self-sabotage, as well as self-actualization from a very young person. I think it just started out with me wondering why the adults mistreat each other and mistreat children. That's always been a huge question of mine. Why? Why would you do that? And why would you mess yourself up? Why would you beat your wife? Why would you do that? And it's for a reason. I was just having a talk with my sister today. It's an ongoing conversation. I reason though it's due to trauma because then once it's not logical, but obviously based on our results, humans a lot of times we're illogical. We're illogical. We're either trying to run towards pleasure and we're encouraged and enticed to run towards pleasure, but in the absence of accountability and responsibility. So I'm very wary if someone offered me something to make me feel good that would weaken my resolve, compromise my critical thinking, or have me put myself in harm's way or put someone else in harm's way. Anywho, back to this. Somebody was asking me if it was real. I'm amazed. Yep, it's real. It's flat. It's cottony. It's 31 of them. Nope, I'm not putting any oil. I have no desire to put. I've done oil before. I don't want to. I thank folks for their concern about dryness. But I've taken it off the table. I love taking stuff off the table. I don't need this product. I don't need that product. I don't need this. I get a kick out of taking things off the table so I don't have to think about them anymore. So I don't have to think about making decisions about food, whole fresh living foods off the table. I have a movement practice every day that grows with me. Now I have to make that decision again. Got my little garden. It gives me enough greens, which is mine to eat from the day. The table, I make a decision. I'm understanding more and more how to have clothes that fit. I'm just not as, I love fashion, but I'm not preoccupied with spending most of my income on clothes. Vintage is the way to go. I just don't need it. I'm in the garden all day. So it does take a lot off the table, and I still get to enjoy, have a really good quality of life. If I can open my brain and put this all in 18, 19, 16, that would be great. However, this is where it's at now, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to run with it. So I'd love to know in the comments, has anyone ever asked you whether you had double strand twists or Senegalese twists or cornrows was your hair, your real hair, right? When you show your actual hair. And maybe it must be the length thing, because I don't remember people asking me if my Afro puff was real. Years ago when I had Senegalese twists, I do remember somebody in a corporate environment I was working in the elevator just put their hands in my hair without asking permission, which was kind of shocking. But maybe perhaps folks are not used to seeing Afro. Granted, we'd be snatching, we'd be turning out, different types of wigs and stuff. That's a whole form of expression in and of itself. So I just thought it was interesting because this is not slicked and it's not necessarily styled. So just shocking. Is it real? And then people want to touch it. So anyhow, I'm about to enjoy the rest of the soursop that came off of my tree. Soursop, by the way, is very good for cancer. You can use the leaves as well as the fruit, and you can replant the seed. So I'd love to know, have you had soursop? Are you saving the seeds from any of your plants to put them in the ground? And how is your journey coming? Feel free to comment respectfully, like, subscribe, and catch me on other social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And y'all create a great day. See you soon.